All right, that was a song called Mother Nature's Son by John Lennon and Paul McCartney of the Beatles, recorded way back in 1968. It's a great song to play. A lot of students play it and they sing it at the same time. It's not that hard of a song to sing, so if you play the guitar part and you sing it, it sounds great as a little folk song you play all by yourself. But I love to teach the song because it gives you a handful of guitar techniques. To be a great guitarist or a good guitarist or a decent guitarist, you have to know. Okay, so this is a good song to teach these different guitar techniques. Basically, the song is played by Paul McCartney, and what he does is he fingerpicks the song. It's a fingerpicking song. Now, he has his own particular style of fingerpicking that's very unique to him. He does very similar things in the Blackbird song and in this song and a few other ones. But what we're going to do is we're going to play the song using a pick. We're going to imitate the finger picking style of Paul McCartney by using a pick. And we're going to learn a tremendous amount of guitar playing and how to pick the strings individually and as chords by using a pick. Okay, so the song basically is in the key of D major. And it starts with the D chord. It's a regular D chord that you see in a lot of songs. Now what he's going to do is he's going to put the pinky on the third string on the fourth fret of this D chord. Okay? And he's going to pick that note by itself, the third string, and then strum the last two strings. Now when you put that pinky on this B note on the third string, it slightly changes the chord. So now it becomes a B minor chord. Okay, so he's going to pick the third string, then the last two strings. Then he's going to take the pinky off, and the note that's there when you take the pinky off is the first finger on that D chord. And you do the same thing, play that third string, and then pluck the last two strings. So the beginning of the song is going to be... Okay, you might ask, well, why are you using the pinky here? Why don't I just use the three fingers going across like this? Sounds exactly the same. Well, the reason for using the pinky is you're setting up the next chord, so you don't have to change fingering. Okay, and the reason why that's important is a lot of times if you play a particular figure and it sounds fine, when you change to the next chord, there's a break in the chord because you have to change fingers. It's not smooth. So a lot of times you'll set up a little bit of an unusual fingering for the first chord in order to make the second chord sound better and a smoother transition. And this is a perfect example of that. So if I play the pinky here, that note's ringing until I take that pinky off and play that first finger note. It's ringing, there's no break. If you use this fingering to change, you're going to hear a break. There's no way, you got to break when you change that fingering. The pinky stays down into the second that you lift it up and you play that note. It's like they're kind of running into each other. And the music, the term for that is called legato. Playing as smooth as you possibly can without any breaks in between the notes. Okay, so once again, the very beginning, which is the introduction, is the pinky on the third string by itself. Then the first and second string you pluck. First finger. And now the first finger moves down to the first fret. You do the same thing, pluck the third string, and then the last two strings. So that whole opening figure is going to be. And then he ends by playing the low open E string. Okay, that's a great little sequence of chords. So once again, it's with the pinky. This becomes a B minor chord when you play it like that. Take the pinky off, it becomes that D. Now move the first finger down, and then with the open string. All right, now what chord is that? Okay, that's a real pretty sounding chord. And just by playing the first finger here and strumming the last two strings doesn't give the whole effect until you add that low open E that really substantiates that chord. All right, now that particular chord is an E7. Here's your seventh. Here's your third of the chord, and the open E is the root. Now this note on top, the F sharp, that becomes the ninth of the chord. So basically this is an E9 chord. Okay, isn't that nice? So he went from a B minor chord to D to E9. Okay, that's a great little sequence of chords. Again, typical of a lot of the Beatles stuff, a lot of Paul McCartney's music. You see it all the time, not only in his guitar playing, but in his bass playing too. That bass line moving while the chord is kind of staying the same. It's built basically around the D chord finger and pinky. That's a real nice sound. All right, so we ended on that E9 chord. Now, most of you guys that know about theory and music, if you have a 7 chord, which is a 9 chord, it's really a key chord to describe the key of the song. Now, I said the key of the song is in the key of D. Now, if I had an E7 chord or E9 chord, that would always go to A. The A would be the key, because the E7th would be the 5 chord of that key. So the E9 chord or E7 chord is going to resolve to an A chord. Okay, that's what your ear hears. But he does something a little sneakier here. He plays that E9 chord, and you would think you're going to go to an A chord, which sounds nice, right? He doesn't. He goes back to D. So that's a little unusual. E9 to D. Doesn't sound like much of a what they call a cadence, which brings your ear to the sound of the key of the song, which your ear would naturally go to the A. So from the E9 to the D is a little odd, but what he does is he tricks your ear. He plays the D chord, all right? This sounded so great, but he wanted to keep the song in the key of D. So he did something very, very unique. Is when he went back to the D chord, right? Watch this. He put the pinky all the way up here on the 5th fret, which is an A note. Okay, so now you have a D chord, regular D chord. You got to get rid of the 2nd finger. You don't need him no more because the pinky's going up. It's a bit of a stretch, but he only does it in one part of the song, the very beginning of the song. Actually, it's the first chord of the song after the introduction. So you're going to play a D chord like this. Some, the more beginner students are going to have a little bit of trouble playing this chord. So your first finger is on the 3rd string, 2nd fret. Now your 3rd finger is going to go on that 2nd string, and then the pinky is going to stretch all the way up to the 5th. Now this is another one of those places students say, why don't I just use my 2nd finger over here for this D note? It's easier to stretch. It's the same situation as before. You're setting up a fingering for the chord that's coming after it. Okay? So you really have to use this particular fingering. It's a bit of a stretch, but you get used to it. First finger, 3rd string, your 3rd finger on that 2nd string, and then the pinky here. So he plays a D chord like that. Now getting back to what I was saying about that E9 chord, now he goes to the D chord with the pinky up here. There's the A note. Okay? Like I said before, that E9 is going to resolve to an A chord for a key, but just by playing that high A note here with the D chord, it almost tricks your ear into hearing that A as an A chord or this D chord as an A chord. So it works beautifully in a very kind of sneaky way, the E9 going to the... Okay, it works better that way. If I play just a D chord, it doesn't sound quite right. But if I do that D chord with that pinky, it makes it, it works. And it's a great example how he uses chords and harmonies to, change things a little bit, to be unique and different with his compositions. That's Paul McCartney for you, and John Lennon and George Harrison. They all did unique things like that. You can learn a tremendous amount about music and harmony and guitar playing by playing their songs. So once again, the beginning, the introduction. Now I'm going to go to that D chord with the pinky up there. Okay, now here we're going to have to look at the picking pattern. We play the D chord only from the 4th string with the pick. Okay, and that's something to note because a lot of the playing from now on is going to be that way, strummed from the 4th string. All right, so what you're going to do is strum all the way down, all 4 notes, and then what you're going to do is do a little strum, a little fill strum. We talk about these fill strums in a lot of different Beatles songs. Here Comes the Sun has a whole bunch of fill strums, and they're very important. You don't want to let them go. So you strum all 4 strings, and now come back with the pick and play the 2nd and 3rd string twice. So it's like 8th notes. Okay, now he does that with his fingers. He picks the 2 outside strings and then plucks the 2 inner strings with his index finger. We're going to do it with the pick. So we're going to play all 4 strings. So it'll be 1 and 2, and that's the first chord. Now with the picking, why you'll get a lot out of playing the song with the pick is that you have to really understand what you're doing with the pick. You're going to play all 4 strings and then come back and hit the 2nd and 3rd string. Now when you come back and hit that 2nd and 3rd string, you don't want to touch the 4th string or the 1st string. You got to get that pick right in between those. So the 1st string and the 4th string continues to ring. So now you have a 4-note chord, and then you're playing those 2 middle notes. It almost sounds like 2 people playing. So you still hear the 1st string ringing while I pluck those 2nd and 3rd string very lightly. Okay, so once again, it's that D chord with that stretched pinky. Now the pinky is going to move down behind the 3rd finger for a D suspended chord. You're going to do exactly the same thing with the pick. 4 strings. And then those little fill chords on that 2nd and 3rd string. So the 2nd chord is... So the 1st chord is with the pinky stretch. Okay. Again, we're setting up the fingering. The next chord, you take the pinky up, and it becomes the open E string. Same thing with the picking. Okay. Then you put the pinky back down. Okay. So let's go over the form for this. Okay, I hope you enjoyed learning the song. Mother Nature's Son, more than worthwhile learning this song. It's a great one. Great guitar song. I'll see you next week.